All right, here we go, new project. Okay, so we are in the one of the kids' bedrooms downstairs on the main level. This is on a slab, but this part of the house is on a cement slab, so there's no subfloor, no wood floor, anything like that underneath it. And this has kind of been a pain point since we've moved in here. It's been a few years since we've lived here now, but I've been wanting to renovate this room, and so today we're gonna get started on that. We're gonna start by prepping everything, so we're gonna be doing some demolition, tearing some things apart, getting all the flooring out of here, and prepping the concrete for laying a new floor. And I'll kind of go through what we're gonna do to do that. So the flooring that's in here is a cheap laminate, and this is why I always tell people not to buy this stuff. It's just really awful flooring. It doesn't click together very good. It's basically cardboard with a plastic shell. And this stuff has just all come apart. I mean, there's gaps just absolutely everywhere with this floor. It's horrible. Whenever you're doing flooring on a concrete floor like this, I just would always recommend staying away from this cardboard style junk cheap flooring. The concrete is there's always some amount of moisture on that, coming through concrete because it's porous, and it's just going to destroy. It's going to really expand and shrink and get humidity and stuff like that in here. It just tears the floor apart. So we're going to refloor this. I'll go through the whole process and what flooring we're using in a later video. But today we're going to be tearing all this trim off, taking all the flooring out. There's also this mid-level trim around here. We're going to tear all that out. We've got some new plans for that. And then just taking some shelves and other hardware, things like that, off of the walls. Now this is kind of an odd house. I believe this was originally a cabin or a garage that was converted into a house. And so there's all these little windows here. Someday when we redo the siding on the outside of the house, I'll probably tear these out and put a real window in here. But today we're not gonna deal with that. So whenever I do flooring in a room, I always take the trim off. Now you don't have to do that, but I would recommend it. What happened here was the previous job that was done in here was probably carpet in here, and so the trim was a little higher off the floor. And what they did was, instead of taking the trim off, they just pulled the carpet out and then just put the flooring in. And then now you have this gap here where all this junk, dirt and crayons and random Legos and items and dirt and hair, things like that, is gonna get stuck. Now you could come by here, we could just put our new flooring in and then put a piece of quarter round, just another little piece of trim on the front of this to get down to the floor. And that would be fine too, and you definitely could do that. But I prefer to take all the trim off and just redo it. We can reuse the trim in most cases, but if we have to buy new trim, that's fine too. This room has one tiny closet, and I already renovated this closet when we first moved in. It needs to be cleaned up, but this is where we're stuffing a bunch of things right now while we renovate. Just basically, this just is a really small closet. We turned it into 2 layers. So we've got a closet rod up there and then one down at the bottom with a shelf out there and then a shelf at the top to store all of your relevant items like unicorn backpacks and whatnot. First things, we'll get some things torn out of here. We'll get the flooring out, and then I'll show you how we're prepping the floor for the next phase. Who uses square bits? All right, so while Kayla vacuums the flooring in there, she's just vacuuming up every little bit of dust that we can get off that floor. and then we're gonna seal everything up. So we're gonna use a cement or a concrete sealer to make sure that no moisture, we get a kind of a moisture barrier through that floor. Once we were taking that floor up, you could smell that musty kind of basement smell. So we wanna make sure everything stays nice and dry. So this is what I have been using. I use it in our basement. I used it on all the basement walls and the basement floor, and it works really well. So this is Drylock Extreme. It's not cheap, but I got all this at Home Depot, and it actually goes quite a ways. I've bought 2 5-gallon pails of this, and I've done our whole basement, and then I still have a lot left. So we do 2 coats, and so once we get it all cleaned up in there, we're gonna put the first coat on, and we'll let it dry for a day, and then we'll put a second coat on tomorrow. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut it along the edge here. I'm going to go all the way back to there, and I'll cut this way. And then you guys can come start behind me, and you guys can start rolling.
I took the word waiter with it.
Whoa!
All right, so it has been a day, and everything's dried now, so we're gonna put a second coat on. So you can see in a lot of these areas, the first coat just doesn't quite seal everything up. We still have a lot of pores here. And the idea is this stuff is real thick. And so once it is spread nice and thick on the cement here, it'll fill in all these little holes, and it'll create kind of a smooth surface. That'll help to keep the moisture down in here quite a bit by sealing this up. I always seal the floors before I put flooring down. Now you can see the all the pores after that second coat. Now everything's filled in really good. So we got a nice good seal on the floor. We'll keep all that moisture out. All right, so I'm gonna try to avoid as much echo as possible with the microphone here, but that pretty much wraps up how I prepare a floor for, or concrete floor, concrete slab for flooring. The type of flooring I'm gonna be using is this LifeProof. This is a vinyl plank flooring. I've used this stuff before in our basement, and it is really good. It's nice to, especially on a slab. It's completely waterproof. It's really tough. It has the underlayment built right in, so it's really thick, and it's got a really thick wear coat on it, so it's pretty durable. We have dogs, and we've even had my daughters riding hoverboards around on it and all that stuff downstairs there. And so it's been a really great floor, but. Getting the floor sealed, I know a lot of people don't do this, and I don't think you have to do this, but I really like the idea of really sealing that concrete. That way you don't get that moisture, that air, moist air coming up between the floor planks and the floor itself. You end up getting mildew and stuff like that. You just don't want to have that. And so this really seals that out very well and really gets the floor ready. So there's going to be a lot more coming on this project. We're going to be building a whole platform bed in here. We're going to be obviously finishing off the walls and fixing all the drywall and all that kind of stuff. We'll have some really neat little features to this room for my middle daughter. And so we'll stick around for that. We'll have lots of videos coming out over the next couple weeks on this project. While the weather's kind of messy outside in the spring here, we'll get this done and then we'll get out and do some gardening. So if you guys have questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you, of course. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here. And don't forget to hit thumbs up. It always helps us out. Always appreciate it. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.